Well, week number 2 of Build the Block. I am your host, County Kravitz, and with me I got to my left,
Spill ENT, your boy Rosewood in the building.
and of course, you know, the person behind all of this right here to my right.
LaWanda Horton Sauter, Real Mission Inc.
Yeah. So last week we talked about LLCs, S Corp, C Corps, you know, the difference. We had CK2 Financials in the building. He touched on the tax portion of a lot of things. And so if you need your taxes done, make sure you contact CK2 Financials. I know a few of us already set up some consultations. So get your consultation and get your taxes right. Tax season right around the corner. Get your money, right? But this week we're going to be talking about nonprofit funding.
Yes.
And who else to talk about then, you know?
My business partner, my homie LaWanda Horton.
Exactly.
Good.
And speaking of nonprofits, we also have another guest in the building.
Brandon.
What up?
What's going on?
Brandon, where are you
guys hear
from?
me?
Yeah,
I am from.
Speaking to the
Uptown.
mic. Into the
I'm
mic.
uptown.
And the name of the organization is
Okay.
Farmer John.
The Farmer John.
The Farmer.
Farmer John.
Okay.
I like it. I like it.
that.
So we're gonna tap into what the Farmer John really is.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? But first, LaWanda, let's tap into what an actual nonprofit is. What does that mean?
All right. So first, I want to qualify. I've been in this industry for 20 years. This is the
20
only thing I've
years.
ever done. Right. I have a master's of science in nonprofit management and leadership, and I basically spent that entire time raising funds for organizations, teaching them how to get money, and doing a lot of grant writing. I'm at $25 million raised in my career
Yeah.
right now for so I'm just letting these people know, right, that
Right.
when I speak about this issue, it's something I'm really passionate about, and I put a lot of time into knowing
Right.
more than everyone else about this, and I'm still learning. So so I want to say that. And then I guess I also want to say that for folks who comment today, I got something I'm going to give away at the end. So if you are interested, just like comment, and I'm going to draw some names and stuff, and I'm going to give away something that I think is pretty valuable today.
Yeah, definitely.
Last time it was LLCs, but this
We give
time
out LLCs
this
next
time
week, too.
the price tag is up this time. So
Right. Y'all gotta tap in. Get y'all
definitely
questions
tap
ready.
in. But okay, so the difference, so a nonprofit organization is a charitable entity. What I mean by that is it exists for the purpose of bettering the community, as
Okay.
opposed to benefiting any one individual. So I might start a business cutting hair for the purposes of becoming rich. If the purpose of the organization is my own bread, then it's probably not a nonprofit. A nonprofit exists
Okay.
to feed, clothe, teach important skills. It's you extending your skill set to help and assist someone else.
Okay.
So that's the
Interesting.
main characteristic of a nonprofit. So some people do try to call themselves a nonprofit when the only person who is being helped is them. And that's usually when jail is involved in like other stuff.
Issues like that legal thing.
Yeah.
Legal
I want
stuff
those.
start
I
That
happening.
want
goes
those.
and then me asking, what's the difference between a nonprofit and a for-profit then?
All right, so same thing. The main difference is between a nonprofit and a for-profit is the purpose. So again, that are you serving others versus is the goal serving yourself. But
Okay.
there's another really important difference between nonprofits and for-profits, and that's what happens to the extra money at the end of the year. So if there is, there's actually the
I bet you
concept
said
of
that.
extra money is actually like a unicorn in that it
But it
doesn't
happens.
exist. But
There's always extra
if there's
money.
money that is in excess of your expenses
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the year, in a for-profit, that's yours,
Okay.
right? If there's extra at the end and you've paid taxes, you get to ball out, buy yourself a new car, buy yourself a watch, all of that. If you are a nonprofit, that number one, you really shouldn't have any extra because now your funders are gonna go, oh, you had more than what you needed.
Right,
We should give
right.
you less next year.
Yeah.
But the other thing is that if you have money left over, it's got to go right back into making your programs better. It can't go to you.
Right.
Okay.
So if you have a couple $500 extra, you better go buy some better equipment. You know what I mean?
It goes
Give
back
your-
to the operation.
Give your assistant a little bit more money in her salary or whatever you have to do, but you got to spend that money down, or your funders are gonna look
Show the love. Show the love.
down on that.
So if you're extending all year, right? If you're extending all year, how does a person that is doing the extending, right? How do they make money?
You mean like, can you make money in a nonprofit?
Yeah.
Oh, everybody
Like
always
if
asks this question.
like for example, I say I run a nonprofit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm extending all year. I'm doing all this extending. I'm getting these grants done. I'm extending. I'm helping this person, helping that person, this organization, that organization, doing a community event.
Right.
How do I survive? Or
Right,
do I continue to work a job, or do I get my own for-profit business?
Yeah,
Or can I survive strictly? How do I survive off of that? If that's all I want to do.
Oh boy. Well, definitely.
Can I survive off
definitely after the break, I want to tell you exactly how. But to answer the question this time around, yes, you can make money in a nonprofit organization. In fact, the head of like nonprofit organizations like United Way, their executive directors and CEOs make millions of dollars. The reason why their executive directors and CEOs make millions of dollars in those nonprofits, though, is because they manage a national organization. So if you're managing an organization that has 50 locations, then it's justifiable that your salary would be, up there. And so you should not have $1 million salary in a Philadelphia-based organization that only has $1 million budget. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's kind of
Right.
crazy.
So if you got
No.
$1 million budget and 100% of that is going toward your salary, that's sketchy, right? So it just has to be a salary that is reasonable to what you do and what you're worth and what you're deserving of. Also education, skill sets, all of that as the CEO, right?
Okay.
It says up here, recently learned
Right, I was
that
reading
some
that question.
nonprofits come into marginalized communities convinced that they have a solution, savior complex of fixing a wrong, but often they don't ask the communities if they want the aid. Yes, I'm 100, that's nonprofits calling me right now.
No,
Tune into the broadcast.
Right,
I'm
I
not
can
gonna
attest
be
to
able
that,
answer
Conda.
you.
So
I was
yeah,
about to
tap
say
in,
that.
tap in.
Now, when it comes to the community, I would say that we need more community figures or leaders in the community to start nonprofits, so we don't have that problem. You know, if that is a problem that marginalized communities are having, then we need more leaders in the community to tap into shows like this so they can get the knowledge, or link with people that have the knowledge so you can start your own nonprofit and address those problems. That's what we need. We need more community leaders out here to get the information and start these community groups or organizations and form some type of coalition around the city, and then we can make it happen.
Or be a part of an existing group.
True.
Like
true.
there's groups that are dying to have people who have talents and skill sets like join and come aboard. And I gotta be honest, like with our politics, a lot of the reason why we're not properly represented is because we're not involved.
Right.
If we were involved in both the choosing and
Right.
in the accountability afterwards, so like some of us either don't participate at all, or we participate and then we leave and we don't
Right.
follow up
Well-
or check up on like that performance and stuff.
Okay.
Go ahead. I see
well,
you look like you don't agree with
No,
me. about,
I do, but at the same time, it's like I just don't think I do agree with that. We're not involved, but I don't think we're groomed to be involved. If
Right,
that,
right,
you know what I'm
right,
saying?
right.
That makes sense. Like we're not
yeah.
groomed to be like politicians. We're not groomed to be like in these worlds. So all we have to bank on it is our perception of these worlds.
yeah.
You know
But
what I'm
we're
saying?
affected
Not
by it.
Okay.
We
you know
don't
what I
have
mean?
to
So
be
so
pushed.
the things that we don't matter. Well, we don't know because we're not in those positions, and it's not. It's like the higher you get, the more crazier it gets. Like you get corrupted, the higher you get. Somebody could start off very, very, very pure, but the higher you get, if you don't have that team behind you, if you don't have that fire with you, just fighting it by yourself. There's plenty of people that are in position fighting for us that are just by themselves.
But you sound like the woman who says I'm single, but she's inside all the time.
I don't
like
get it.
You can't get access to the thing that you want if you're indoors where nobody not participating and not out there in the mix.
Well, we need to start grooming our people. We need to start grooming each other.
And that goes to each one teach one. It goes back to each one teach one. Really, like when you say groom, I just look at it like, all right, there's no older figure that was in the political realm to give you knowledge. When I was 18, I had somebody. R.P. Miss Joyce. She gave me the knowledge of the game while I'm out here getting signatures as I'm moving up. Different jobs and working different campaigns. So at the end of the day, you do have to be tangible. You have to be out there, but you do need a strong team behind you. Because if it's just you and you only have that passion, then you on a treadmill.
Well, you get tired that way too.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure there's people that are frustrated every day because they're fighting for us in these rooms that don't have people in those rooms that are fighting. You know what I'm saying? That look just like them.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's I don't know.
Let's ask Brandon.
I have a lot to say about.
But we have a farmer joining the building.
But
you know what
I'm gonna take it down a notch for a second because
go ahead.
I'm a nonprofit employee, but I'm also a board president who oversees a nonprofit. So I get a lot of people who are much older than me and have a lot to say about engagement. How do we get the younger, my age, and
they always saying that engagement, right? Youth engagement.
They don't really care about that.
They
right?
don't.
And so what does that actually look like? Because I get into the room and I'm in charge or whatever. But then I got 50 and 60 and 70 people who have wisdom, know much more than they've been living in this. But when it comes time to making decision making, you don't know, So it's like, how do we actually? Oh, you could have.
We just dealt with this the other day.
But you have to allow for other young folks to impart.
I think the younger. I think.
The other day.
Listen, I'm gonna be the one who says it, and this is shots fired. Okay, how you hold that gun?
That's
this
not
is
how
shots fired.
What that is.
I feel like okay,
I
got a suit.
It's a musket. I was gonna say she got a musket and shit.
You can't hold it like that if you got if you have a suit jacket.
It's like bringing a
anyway,
knife.
the point is that this is shots fired. I think that this older generation, the boomers, except for a couple that are cool. A lot of them are the problem because every time they're in a room with us, Generation X, Generation Y, younger Z, whatever they're calling themselves now, Instagrams.
I'm a millennial.
The thing is whenever they're in a room with us, they try to take us back in time, and we don't live in that world no more.
They say back in the day, but you don't hear me though.
Yeah. So it's like we literally were in a community meeting the other day where the lady was like, me and a bunch of older people designed this already months ago. We just want you guys to execute it. And it's like, I said, wait a minute. We're not going to stick around because we didn't have no say in this. We don't know what's in here. You just want our youth and our labor to execute. And they told us when I said, well, what about our opinions? Nah, we don't need those.
Right, we just got the plan.
How old is this person?
I'm going to say
she had to be in her mid to late 50s. Mm-hmm. So it was that mindset of I want you to do what I want you to do.
We need a purge.
But we're still in charge.
Cash everybody out, send them home. And put some young people in the positions.
That's how I feel.
I just feel it though. I personally feel it though. And I'm sorry, I know we all off topic, but go ahead. I personally feel it though. They need to be in certain positions of power. There needs to just be a purge, based off age, because the way you think is far gone from where it is we're at now. A 70-year-old person should not be sentencing a 18-year-old kid. You know what I'm saying? Somebody in the 70s should not be sentencing somebody in their 18, 21. None of that. They can't even get into the mind of that kid. You have no idea. You're like None of that. You should be a complete
Everybody's
purge.
voice is
Everything
needed. It's
we should
just too
need to
many
purge.
of
We
them.
need the many amendments at the end of the day. We need to do it. We need to go all the way back to the drawing board. You know what I'm saying? And actually write something that's for the people if we're actually the people. Because what was originally written was not for everybody. It was for their people.
The room is
we
like
weren't even people.
the room is like
When I
10
wrote
of
that
them, 2 of us,
So
and so that's the
And
problem.
that's when you have diversity, right?
Right.
That's the status quo.
Is when there's
Yeah,
2 of
that's
us.
I about to say, yeah,
bullshit.
two
we need to go
two
back
two
to how
people
it
that's
was.
two people that's indifferent from the
Separate
status
shit.
quo. You know,
Segregation.
that's how you get the 10 people in. But now I look at it like, all right, it's so unfortunate that we have 516 homicides last year. So for people to still be like real prideful or on a high horse about these positions is nonsense to me. And I'm looking at like, y'all see that is messed up out here. It's only getting worse. And y'all see the divide between the old and the young. And I've been told Lawanda this. I'm about to be 40. I'm 38. So they'll say, oh, Rosie, if you mess with anybody that's 28, 18 to 28, we don't mess with you because they're crazy. And I'm like, what you mean? You not outside? You don't talk to these young boys? You don't
When you
know
talk to
nothing.
them, these young boys like
So
they're very like acceptable of knowledge. I really
Well, the
don't.
thing
I don't
is-
know why there's a stigma like where it's like they just
Right.
don't want to get this shit. They don't want to know. They don't want to learn. These motherfuckers really do. You know what I'm saying? Like they really do. Like if you really are outside and you're talking to them, you have to. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
talk to them. Like
yeah, you do.
you can't talk at them. Like a lot of the times, like
Yeah.
a lot of older people, how they were brought up, they were talked at by their parents and talked at by other people, and that's how they transcend that now.
I
You
think
know what I'm
this
saying? They just
comment-
talk at people. They don't talk to people.
I think this comment
I'm a
is a
proud
good
advocate for
segue
profit.
into the next, because he
Team
said
for
he's an
profit and as an
advocate.
independent contractor or member, you can be on the payroll and get earnings.
Yeah.
That's
So you
dope.
can, but you can
Okay.
also, you can also, like I said in the last comment, make money
Shout out-
and be
shout out
on
EA.
payroll.
Hip on the
I was
nonprofit.
actually
For the
going to
comment.
say I've only ever worked for nonprofits.
Right.
I've
Okay.
never
Really?
Me
worked
too.
For a for-profit. I've never done retail.
What-
I've never done.
what is it
waiter,
about-
I've never done. But let me tell you something though.
Tell
What
us.
I love when I was younger to tell the CEOs and the COOs, because I know how to play the game and get in front of them and do all that stuff. But the thing is, when you're in front of those people, I tell them I don't care what $1 million grant just came through the door. My job is to work myself out of this job.
Mhm.
That should
Okay.
always be.
Yeah, but
Mm.
it never
subtext
is.
in our mission.
Yeah, because
And
there's
if
like.
it's not, then that's a
Yeah,
problem.
and then
with
it's
the
like
culture of what we're doing here.
self-interest. The thing
Okay.
is
Right.
that if a nonprofit is so good that it puts itself out of business, it puts itself out of business. That's the
There's
reason
so much
why.
work for us to do is what I'm saying.
No,
like, we
there
could go
is.
find
There
another
is. There's like
problem.
109.
Right,
Like,
okay, I
there's
see what you're
like,
saying.
Sales is
I
the
see
number
what you're
one rated money earning business.
You know,
Facts.
Yeah.
Facts.
Oh, yeah. You know what? This is a good segue to this. What are the advantages of being a nonprofit, and what are the disadvantages to being a nonprofit? So, in my expert opinion, right?
Right.
I think one
Okay.
of the advantages to being a nonprofit
Yay.
is that only in the
He's
nonprofit
around.
sector, right, can you be. Now, listen.
He's
I have
around.
I have a master's degree in this. This is all I have 20 years experience. I'm saying that one of the advantages to being a nonprofit is that you are more likely to be financially supported by outside people in a nonprofit situation than in a for-profit, meaning no one
Okay.
cares about whether or not your business succeeds if it's for-profit in America, right?
Right.
You either have a product that sells
Let's be
or
clear
you don't.
and say
right?
more so who that is for, because
And that's for white people, and that's for
Wait,
women,
what's
white
for
women.
white people? Wait a
I'm
minute.
saying that-
Wait, run it back. What happened?
I
Wait,
can say anything.
what's
I
for
just
white-
want to clarify
This,
what I
so
said.
so
So-
what
That's
I'm
the
saying
question.
is that if you are a person from another country
right,
or you are a white woman,
right.
you are considered a minority, meaning when there
What?
are certain avenues of
White women are
support for
slick.
for-profits.
Mm-hmm.
9 times out of 10, they're going to claim no black people entered our contest. So we tried, and then they're going to say, but we still have to give this money to a minority, so we're going to give it to a white woman, or we're going to give it to an Indian person, or whatever, because, like I said
White
last
women
week,
are the
a lot
that
of our
makes
people
sense
don't
why
have...
niggas is it makes sense.
A lot of our people
It
are
makes
not
sense.
filing the proper paperwork to be
mindset.
qualified
I
for
actually
these
wanna give an example on
opportunities.
that.
Get you a white girl that knows she's a minority.
They know.
If you're a for-profit business in PA
Mhm.
and you're a minority,
Mm-hmm.
you can, and I can't speak on that specifically, but I'm gonna give you an example of something. I actually took a contracting class about 2 years ago. Right
Oh
during
yeah,
the
I was talking
pandemic.
about this on the last show.
And
Uh-huh.
you know, the contractor actually said he's teaching the class. He's up there. He's like, okay, we're all black in here. Let me tell you something. So all of you should be applying for this paperwork, that paperwork, and this paperwork. And he says, and then when you're done, make sure that you go downtown to the small business center or whatever have you. And he said, I'm telling you to go down there because you can damn sure know that someone else that's not black is going down there.
Mm.
There's people
Facts.
not of color who are sending their wives because technically that's a minority.
Wow.
Yeah.
White women are
Right,
a
right,
minority.
right.
Wow,
White
it's a-
women starting
yes.
an
It's a- that's-
actual-
it's
And they're
advantage,
putting-
fellas.
I
and-
am against the
Wow.
fraud.
And they're putting
You know?
her on
Wow.
and
Wow.
listen to this, and they're
That's
putting her on the
crazy.
paperwork as
Smart.
51% ownership. So all they did was
So
give
what
her
I
that
would like
1%,
to see-
so
what I
she
like
would
to
be
see
the.
I'm
is
mind
the
blown.
city of Philadelphia
I'm late.
start to do some auditing with the folks that we work with because we
Right.
work with a lot of contractors and vendors. The government needs to do a full audit and an investigation. into
But
that.
I
Definitely.
will tell
I
you, we
definitely
talked
agree with
about.
that.
But I want to make
That's
sure you
crazy.
also know this. I
Wow.
did talk about on the last show the fact that there is a law on the books in the city of Philadelphia that says anytime the city of Philadelphia has to hire someone for either plumbing or a toilet paper company or food administration or whatever, like food supplies and stuff,
Yeah.
they have to. If they consider 3 people, 2 of those people have to be classified minorities. So the issue is, of the 3 people they consider, 2 of them have to be. So they have to go out now and look for 2 people who sell
How
toilet
much
paper
looking
that are
we doing?
minorities.
Are we saying?
And then what
buddy?
happens is, if they go and they look and they're like, oh, nobody who has their paperwork straight classifies as the 2 minorities, it now becomes available to 3 white people. You get what I'm saying? So because we lost out on the opportunity because when they went to go look,
So
and
we need to
again,
make toilet paper.
like you said, like a lot of their looking is really not that. They didn't look that hard. They
Right.
And
You
that's
already
why I
know.
say if it's a
know they not
if my
looking.
job as if this because this is not what I focus on. But if I was a nonprofit employee all day long, I'd be sitting down with black men trying to create paperwork, just getting it done, just submitting all day long.
And that's why Mission Inc. has been doing the work that we've been doing for the last 15 years.
Yes.
We file
That's
people's
crazy.
nonprofits, we file their LLCs, we help them go after government contracts, we make sure all of their paperwork is in order so they can take advantage of these opportunities. So there is a business that exists like that in Philly, but it's the only one.
And are we taking
May I-
advantage, or are we taking what
Wait,
should
We're
be?
taking what rightfully is ours. We're taking what
Okay.
what is fair, right? What is fair for us to have, but we have to know that it's fair, and we have to feel like we are entitled to it. Like we have to
Yes.
feel like we deserve it.
Yeah.
May,
what
may
you-
I just have
yeah, tap in. Yeah,
30
tap in.
seconds?
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
love when I hear
Always.
intellectual people just give out information. You know I love you anyway. Just your mind, body, and soul. And because
And I still be here drinking Heinekens too.
but that doesn't matter because you can overstand whatever that effect that the
Facts.
Heineken gives you. You can
Facts.
control it.
Facts.
It's once you is not what you do or what you assume is
Yeah, yeah.
how it affects you.
Right.
Let me just say the reason why I'm for profit
Mm-hmm.
and I'm against nonprofit
Mm-hmm.
only because I'm against anything that seems to be unrealistic.
Mm-hmm.
And my years of being my age, I'm not going to talk about credentials because we all have them.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
We're very, very smart
Mm-hmm.
without the paperwork,
Mm-hmm.
without being in debt for it.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to clear that up respectfully. Because I can't take home your matter of opinion or your bossiness or your accolades
Mm-hmm.
and put fruits and vegetables on my table.
Gotcha.
Nor can I give it to Pico, Comcast, PGW,
Mm-hmm.
whoever your light bill carrier is. Nor can I go to Sunoco and get gas. Nor can I actually assume food or whatever it is that I have to assume through a daily life, which contribute to months, weeks, years.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, my understanding of life is to adapt, gain mastery, absorb some income in a way that has been taught to me and through empirical knowledge, experience, what works.
Right.
Being for profit works. Now,
I-
if you have the notoriety, if you have the backing, if you have the loyalty, if you have the people, the signatures, the emails, the cosigns, then yes, be nonprofit. If it works, whatever side works,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
just my opinion. I'm not
Yeah.
actually I'm not here to. Why I'm here to advocate.
Yeah, no,
profit.
yeah,
Yeah.
Respect
But they're
for
not.
it.
I mean, I
But
don't
there's
think.
nothing
But it's-
wrong
it's
with
a-
either
That's
one.
not-
I don't
not
think
No,
that.
absolutely.
Yeah, I don't think
No,
nonprofits
no,
and
I'm
for-profits
no,
are
I'm
in
saying-
competition with each other
No,
at
no,
all.
I
They're
didn't
not
say
even
they
the
were.
same.
No,
But
Yeah.
as a person that was a fan of listening to the
Yeah,
show
yeah.
live, being the privilege to sit on the other end
Yeah, yeah.
and hear you guys,
Yeah.
it just seemed like it was one sided.
Well, we had a show about for-profits last
Respectfully,
week. That's
I
why.
just-
This one is
I just
about
wanted
nonprofits.
I
That's
just
why.
wanted to run.
You know, we had a show
jump
about
in. I
that.
love y'all. I
In
just
fact-
wanted to jump in.
In fact, we started our
defend-
season.
For profit,
That
yeah.
conversation
You know what
out.
I'm saying?
But wait, hold on.
For profit, yeah.
We
I like
started
to
our
pay my
season.
bills.
Wait.
We started our season.
I'm
for
listening though.
profit.
I'm in
But
here.
non-
I'm team non. I'm
But
team for profit.
nonprofits, but
I
nonprofits
work
are
for a nonprofit.
necessary
I'm
too.
team nonprofit.
Because it's the for profits that bring money that move money around in our communities, but it's the nonprofits that help
And
the
if it
people who
wasn't
don't
for
have
a
the money.
for-profit, I wouldn't
It's
have
the
it.
non-
you gotta think though.
necessary.
You gotta think though.
I
You gotta
wouldn't
think
do the
though.
work I do.
So it's
starting
not like
starting a nonprofit. I think behind the paperwork, right?
they're not in competition.
Before
with
we
each
get into
other.
our break in a couple minutes, right? Behind the paperwork, right? I think the start comes from circumstance, right?
Okay,
I think so when you're going into business, right? And you're thinking about, all right, what kind of business is what is it that I'm trying to do, right? And you're deciding, all right, well, do I have the circumstance in my life right now to really extend and not go out and get? You get what I'm saying? So like you can have the time, you can have to in order to extend all of your resources that you may go out and get for another group of people, but sometimes you got to get to it. And if you got to get to it, like circumstance wise, it's all circumstance. You know what I mean?
could see
Circumstance this determines whether you're gonna go for profit or not
I
profit.
could see some
Nonprofits
criticisms.
exist only to do societal benefit.
Right.
So
Okay.
It's
and-
where the
and I'll say-
government has
and-
slipped.
and for government has slipped. And I'll say this:
It's where the government has
to your
slipped.
point, there are there are some for-profits in this world
Mhm.
that do more than nonprofits.
Well,
And
that-
there
that
are
is
some
true.
nonprofits that do less than for-profits. for
Yeah,
societal
yeah,
benefit.
yeah,
And so
absolutely.
I'm not against for-profits.
You
at
know
all.
what it is? The
Me neither.
I actually have some nonprofits I
nonprofits.
don't like.
Nonprofits.
Like,
I agree,
So-
but here's the thing: nonprofits are the government's silencing arm.
It's-
They are the
exactly.
tool of the government to silence and keep the people under a certain amount of control by giving food and circuses and
Mm-hmm.
whatever, instead of teaching people to create food and circuses.
Right.
So I
Mhm.
I 100% agree with him sitting here saying he's pro for profit.
Absolutely.
However, because we have yet to figure out how to take back our political power, right? And how to be the people that we're supposed to be in terms of driving our own vehicle.
Right.
These organizations are necessary to prevent societal collapse. There's people who are eating right now because of nonprofits.
Right,
There's
right.
people who have clothing right now because of nonprofits. And if that's the only way we can get a little bit of the pie
Then we
from
gotta
the
take it.
government, then we gotta use
remember
it
what
as a vehicle
remember
to
what I
get
said
it.
5 minutes ago. If you're not trying to drive yourself out of a job, are you part of the problem or are you
All
part
right.
of the solution?
Solution.
Facts,
All
facts.
Right.
And I think that's a good. I think that's
Because
a good
here's
way.
an example. A lot of the food banks, and I have nothing against food banks. Food banks
Mm-hmm.
do an amazing job. They're putting food in people's mouths, right? Keeping people,
I've
fed.
seen some of the food at
But-
these banks.
But my
I ain't
question
cashing no,
is,
checks
think
there.
about how long food banks have been around for, and so this is like there's always going to be somebody who's in need of eating,
Mhm.
Right.
And so only about maybe 10, 20 years ago, I feel like has there been like a major awakening of folks saying, okay, what are we doing? Because at the end of the day, we're going to always have people in line. How can we address this problem so that there's less people in line, at least? Not to say there's no one in line, less.
Well,
Right,
you,
right.
You need you. I mean, I mean,
being
the ugly
proactive,
truth is
not
you like
retroactive.
the ugly truth is, you know what I'm saying, in order for, like she was saying, like, you know, in the political aspect, in order for, you know, society to kind of run, you kind of like need those people in those lines.
Right. But the
Like
thing
it's
is
like
Mission
that's the ugly
Inc.
truth about it. It's like, yeah, you wanna, you would love to, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, we as people look at it and be like, oh man, you know, we would love to. Oh, how can we prevent this? You know what I'm saying? But then what happens? You know what I'm saying?
Mission Inc. is
they don't want
about
that.
making sure that if the government does give money
You gotta
to
keep the few bucks.
somebody to distribute into the community, that the person it's giving it to is us.
It's sterile.
That's why Mission Inc. exists, is to help us to form so that we're the CEOs of the nonprofit organizations that are receiving the finances and stuff to be able to go and feed our community, and not having someone who doesn't look like us at the head
into
of
the
that
community.
organization deciding how many boxes of food we get and when. That someone who looks like us is the one who's doing it. And that's the reason why we started in 2008 and have been doing the work that we've been doing. So
I
anyway,
like it. So
when we come back,
yeah, but I say we're gonna come back. We're gonna actually get into how nonprofits are actually funded. So we told y'all that, you know what I'm saying, they can get funded. We did, but now we about to tell y'all how.
Right.
Right after you know what I'm saying, some music, you know what I'm saying. Can you please play us some good Build the Block music?
what?
Build the block.
You know, I kind of wanted
Every
something. I
Tuesday
kind of wanted something
at 3
ratchet, but
o'clock.
You want ratchet? She want ratchet too.
you know, like we show them that we're diverse.
Something told me stay. It was worth it. I've been working. We ain't perfect. That's why you for me. I got money. You got honeys. I got all this love and you got nothing. Cause your past done stripped you of it. Perfect timing. Too much time I give and lies I hear, but I stay here. Cause the time we share is so revealing. I'll treat you right, I will. I'll treat you right, I will. Just tell me you'll stay silent. We ain't gotta do what they do. Just tell me you'll stay silent. In time we'll see things through. Just tell me you'll stay silent. Just tell me you'll stay silent. I've been thinking, who you talking to when you feel lonely? I've been thinking, you're the only one I let control me. I've been drinking, so much trust in me, I'm never sober. I've been missing you so much, I'm scared of starting over. What's it gonna take for me to have you to myself? It's so easy to have anyone, I don't wanna one else. What's it gonna take for me to keep you to myself? It's easier to be alone, but I was something down. We ain't gotta do what they do. Just tell me you stay silent. In time we'll see things through. Just tell me you stay silent. We ain't gotta do what they do. Just tell me you stay silent. In time we'll see things through. Just tell me you stay silent. Show me, stay silent. Stay silent. I need to know you're silent. Show me you're silent. Stay silent.
Yeah, we
You
right
know, you
back.
almost caught us saying something
Yeah,
inappropriate.
you.
Me anyway.
For real?
Yeah,
I
I
wasn't
was
even
about
listening.
to.
I thought we was talking about.
We was talking about some. We was
Yeah,
talking, we was
I know
talking
we
about something
for
good.
profits, not profits.
Yeah, and I had a
Build
I had
the
a-
block, man.
Yeah,
Education
so
and
during
access.
the break we had a question,
Yeah, I
right?
had a question that wasn't on the paper, and you said you can answer this. I said, can you have a nonprofit and a for-profit?
You said something about a hybrid.
It's
Yeah,
completely
like,
legit.
Take
It's
now go
100%
into
legit.
it, right?
So my boss, Krista Barfield, actually started the for-profit first because she's all
Well,
about
let's do
making a
this.
dollar.
What is Farmer John?
Farmer John is
And then we'll
a
talk about
local
that.
organization basically on the both sides of the spectrum, trying to make sure that people have access to fresh, healthy foods. Something you've heard before, right? But we've done it a little bit differently. So that's why there's
So how
two
did you
sides
guys
to
do it differently?
So the for-profit is more so focused on something called a CSA. That's a community supported agriculture. So basically what that means is you buy your food up front and you every week you come and get, a new something, kale, carrots, whatever have you, whatever, growing that week. We have 125 acres of farmland. So
Dang.
we have 3 acres over here or 1 acre over here in Elkins and another 123 over in
Elkins Park?
Chester. Elkins Park, right up the block.
Oh, you shout out the county. Shout out the county.
So, we also have some smaller sites throughout the city of Philadelphia, but at the end of the day, it's making sure that especially Black and brown people, marginalized communities, have access to fresh and healthy food. And, one of the things I can say is that I live in these neighborhoods, right? So my biggest thing is we have a lot of nonprofits that try to do this work or are doing this work. But it's one thing to do the work; it's another thing to be ingrained with the people.
Facts.
Walking down the street and be able to know that person who you just changed your life or helped their lives at least. And so that's why I'm really interested in working with Krista. And she focused on the for-profit stuff. She got that down pat. But to your question, I only know nonprofits.
Right.
So when she was like, "Oh, I just put my paperwork in for the 501c3," And by the way, there's different types of classifications for nonprofits.
Right.
So, not everything is street. But the thing is, I was like, "Oh, really? Who's running that for you?" She was like, "Oh, I don't know. I don't have anybody." So I was
You
like,
volunteered yourself.
I got it. So I volunteered basically for about 5 months.
Okay.
And then got on payroll in April of last year, and I've been running that ever since.
So
we're
basically,
hired some employees this year.
So basically, your a nonprofit could be an extension to your for-profit.
I'm really careful on that.
Is that
Okay.
is that
Oh,
yeah,
Lord,
like
here we go.
Whoa.
so like can I own
You can
I,
talk about how it, I guess.
Yes, let's talk about the actual dynamics at play. So
Yeah.
to be really clear, we have separate bank accounts.
Uh-huh.
I am not on the payroll of the for-profit at all. So
Okay.
let's say the nonprofit isn't sufficient in bringing in the grant dollars, fundraising, donors
Right.
and stuff like that. I just don't get paid. So
Dang.
it's not like I can be like, oh, let me go over here and shuffle some money.
I got a
like
solution
working-
for that, by the way.
That's like
For-profit
see,
can't
that's
come over. For-profit can't come over from the
Yeah.
nonprofit side and be like, "Yo, we need some money." That's not a thing.
It can.
It can.
But go ahead.
We
It
don't
can donate. to
clear.
it.
We're clear.
it can be.
But you
I'm about to
try
say
to-
it could.
Independent contractor, I can't.
Yeah, I'm about to say yeah.
Listen,
Yeah,
I'm telling you what we do.
you know.
Right.
Yeah, you can you guys, I can understand because it sounds like you're trying to be really careful, which is really good because money from the nonprofit organization can
Right.
never ever go into your for-profit.
The for-profit can donate
Your
to the
for-profit
nonprofit.
can
As long as they set up a separate
When we
entity.
started.
But
We
you're
have go
probably
get it.
just
Go
being
get a
vigilant.
promotions. Go get a promotion. This one girl. Go get it. Go get a J. You know what I'm
So
saying?
you're
Shout out, go
probably
get a
just
J.
being
what
you're
I'm
probably
saying?
just being like super
Yeah.
careful, which makes a lot of sense or whatever.
I like it. I have a question. What kind of healthy foods do you guys distribute? You got dragon fruit?
Not that.
See, I got you. I got you.
Wait, why
Got
are
your
you-
ass.
But
He's
one
making
thing is-
grocery requests right now.
Well,
He's trying to
I
order
thought that's
from-
what it is.
Oh, he's
Fresh
trying to
food.
order from
I'm
Instacart
not
during
gonna
the
go
show.
plug nobody. I was about to say a grocery store you should go to. But
I like dragon fruit.
that's
my
the
new
part
thing.
of we educate people on what can grow in this area. Right?
Okay. Oh, you get it from this area.
Everything we do is from this area.
Oh, y'all farm it yourselves. Like seeds, water.
Farming John.
Ha
So
the farming
I want us to
John.
get into
Oh.
what I do.
Oh, you really a farmer,
What do you
farmer.
do?
Yeah.
Like,
Right?
oh, like you out there.
I'm a farmer by trade. I started farming at 12.
Okay.
Wow.
Urban city, in the city, uptown,
Wow, that's
and
dope.
that's something that
That's
people don't
dope.
get to
See,
do,
that's what I'm
you know.
saying. Grooming our youth to be, you know what I'm saying, in these situations. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right,
he was
right.
groomed.
because
you know what I mean? That's what I
what
mean
if
when
the
I say groomed. Like
pandemic-
he was groomed as a tray at 12, bro.
What if the
Right.
pandemic had bigger implications than it did? Like you know how all the stuff was all of a
I
sudden
would be looking at him.
the
Nah,
the
I'm getting
grocery
your number,
stores-
bro.
Yeah, the
Yeah, I'm
grocery
pissed. I'm
stores
right.
were starting to like have stuff missing
Farming.
from the shelves and everything. Our
Right.
community tends to be most out of touch with like where its food comes from, how to make
Yeah.
foods and stuff. However, we have a history of the opposite of that. Like when I was growing up, my grandparents, I'm with you. Listen, I know a lot about a lot of things. When I was growing up, my grandparents who are from the South, they had the green beans and stuff in the backyard. We would go pick that from the backyard.
Yep.
Like this generation is hot pockets and false hopes.
First of all, hold up. First of all, hold on. Don't put all that. Y'all not out there farming. Don't put that on us. Y'all not out here making sure we got green beans in the backyard. My mom was like, don't do that. Like y'all.
I was generation. I'm
33.
Generation X. I was growing stuff during the pandemic though.
You know what I mean? Y'all got no green beans for us to just pull up and go grab. Like you ain't got no tomatoes for us. Ain't got no onions. Don't put it on us like we the problem. We is an effect.
All right,
There's a cause behind that.
We better talk about this money
You know what I'm
before we
saying?
forget about it.
Tell us how to get some money.
Yeah, all right.
So
Tell us young people how to get some money.
First,
How do you
like
fund a
you're not
nonprofit?
number one. You're not getting any funding unless you're a good nonprofit. So I kind of want to talk about what it takes, what I feel it takes to be a good
Okay.
nonprofit. This is my life's work
Okay,
here,
just-
right? So
what do you-
what it takes to be,
Uh-huh.
in my opinion, what it takes to be a good nonprofit is like you need to really think through what it is that you're doing. Somebody alluded to earlier, like not even speaking to the people that you want to try to serve and asking them anything. Like this is what that I feel that older generation and more educated people and sometimes like bougier people do is they make an assumption about what the community needs based
Right.
on what they think. You know what I mean? These people are stupid. They don't have this. They don't have that, or whatever. They make an assumption about the wants and the needs of a particular community. Then they just start providing it and wonder why people aren't engaged, right? And it's because they're just getting like the bare minimum of what their actual needs are. People do want a deeper level of support than what we're giving them, which I think is a lot of
Yes.
times very surface level support. Here, take this bag of
Transactional.
transactional. Here, take
Okay,
this. Here, take this
transactional.
bag of food. Take this, that, and the other. What it takes to be a good organization is like really thinking through these programs, really
that's called
asking people.
transformative.
Yes,
Okay.
transformative. What does your leadership look like of your organization? Is it reflective of the community that you're trying to serve, or is it all
Right.
the people who already have it made?
So you need to be a leader.
You know, did you guys actually like plan this out? Did you guys think about the programs that would be most impactful, right? Because like
Planning,
you got
structure.
this stuff out here, it's not even working.
Right.
You know how many organizations repeatedly get funded year after year for failing? Like this is
lot.
our culture here in
lot.
Philadelphia is to our culture here, and please, politicians, if you're listening, stop funding failure. We repeatedly
Right.
giving money to organizations that have proven that they cannot do the job.
They out of touch, man.
You know what I mean?
It's just
Yeah,
a lot
so
of
what
people
else-
out of touch.
And
man.
part of that
else
is
you want to
because none of the money is going toward making them better either, right? The money is like this is the bare minimum that you need to run, but it's not like we're gonna bring this person in to coach your leadership so they know how to act right. We're gonna bring this person in to coach your to help your team like work better and handle conflict better and stuff. You got really, really, really ratchet, bad behaving people at some of the program levels of organizations cussing out kids and stuff, and then we wonder why the kids are cussing and running around and doing
I
all
will
these
say,
things.
sometimes you'll find nonprofit culture is no better than for
it's-
culture.
it's
and sometimes
terrible.
it's worse.
Okay.
It's terrible.
So when you're all
So-
these good things, right? How do you get
money,
funded?
Money. Okay, so like I said, I think that something that he was alluding to when he came in here yelling about being pro for profit was that the nonprofit game is very political.
Okay.
It's
speak
very
on it.
political. There's a lot of steps that you have to go through in order to become the right looking organization to be considered for support. And so like you need to work with somebody who can guide you through that process or you're going to get frustrated. Now,
Say groom.
some
You
people,
just people to groom you for that.
I won't say any names, but
See?
some people
So you
have
just
the
gotta
advantage of being able to get money under the table without necessarily having any of these features or without being a high performing organization or without whatever, because that's another feature of Philly is to slide money under the table to people who are cousins.
So how do we do it
and
the
stuff
right
of
way?
Others. So to do it the right way, you first want to engage in like a planning session. You want to be able to do what similar to what you and I sat down and did, which is lay out the entire organization and how you want it to operate, what it's going to offer, how does this feed into this, how much is this all going to cost? Because
So build the blueprint.
you have
That's
to build the
step one.
blueprint. But the other thing is, right? People come up with random amounts of money that they need. They don't calculate how much they actually need. Right.
Okay.
So if you're not going through a budgeting process where you're saying 500 for this, 3,000 for this, 9,000 for this, or whatever, how dare you go out and ask someone for money if you don't have the answers to those
All
questions?
right, so you need a blueprint.
You need a budget. You need a blueprint.
Blueprint.
You need planning. You need a blueprint that comes out of the planning. You need a budget that comes out of the planning. And once you have a budget, you have to figure out what fundraising methods or vehicles are
like
best for your organization.
There you go.
So should your organization go after money from individuals? Should your organization go after money from corporations? Should your organization go after grant money? Should it go after contracts? Some combination of those. When we work with people, we help them to decide what combination of things are good for that particular organization, and no two organizations are the same.
Are the same.
So I might say to you, the advantages of you would be corporate and grants. I might say to him, individuals, events, and contracts. So it's all has to do with what you have going for you as an organization. Right.
Okay.
A lot of people are very grant hungry, so I'm pretty sure that before we end, we're gonna have a
Yeah,
conversation
how do-
about
how do
grants
people-
specifically.
How do people so once you have all of that set up, right? You got everything you need set up. You're this perfect looking nonprofit organization and you're ready to get things rolling. How do you actually start going after grants? Like if you decide, okay, you know what, grant money is what it is, because that's right now that's the popular thing. Grants. So for all the people that's trying to get the grants,
Right.
how do you actually get the grants?
Okay, so here's a couple of
How do you start going after them?
tips.
Who's
Now-
eligible for these
Listen,
things?
Oh, who's eligible?
Because everybody that wants
That's a
grants,
good-
say,
that's a
hey,
good-
just because you want it don't mean you're
Oh, that's a
eligible
good
for it.
question.
people.
That's a
Right.
good question.
Good
Okay,
question,
so
too.
so typically, grants are for nonprofits. 505
They have grants for profits.
There are.
Yeah.
But generally, I made a face and got all like, I was being petty. So grants are traditionally, right, up until very recently, where there's been more for-profit grants available, but grants are generally for nonprofits, but specifically those ones categorized as 501c3 tax-exempt organizations. And the reason is because there are a lot of other 501s, right? But they engage in things that are very for-profit, some of them, and some of them engage in political activity. So
Okay.
you cannot engage in certain types of political activity as a 501c3. So that's why funders prefer to give the 501c3s so they don't get messed up in the politics of things. If they gave to a 501c4, which is allowed to advocate on behalf of candidates, now the act of me giving you money makes me for or against whatever candidate you're running out there talking about. So if I'm a
Just to slow
funder,
my money up.
yeah, if I'm a funder, I want to
Don't slow my
avoid
money up.
working with organizations that aren't 501c3 tax exempt entities, right? That's one.
Right.
The grants that are for profits. Here's the thing. People who have for-profit businesses ask me to write grants for them all the time. The truth is that a lot of grants that are out there that are for profits are ones that most of our businesses cannot qualify for. They usually have to already have a certain amount of money. It's like, if I already had this amount of money, I wouldn't be trying to get a grant from you.
Why do I need
So
a grant?
that's where the BS of the government comes in, right? Because they say we have grants available, but in order to get
And
those
even
grants,
corporate.
like at the end of the medicine commercial, they tell you all the things that it will kill you,
bad, right.
ways it will kill you. So they say we have grants for all of these people. We have grants for minority businesses, and they'll like minority business must have $700,000 in their bank and exist for 7 years or whatever. And then you're like, damn. And then, so most of you aren't eligible for that. And then the great thing that came out of COVID was a bunch of other grants for businesses, because before COVID, they really didn't care, again, whether businesses lived or died.
Right.
And so the grants that came out of COVID, some of which people are going to be in a lot of trouble for soon because they was filing LLCs and PPP and OPP and all this other stuff.
Yeah, you know
They
me.
had no business doing that, right? But those grants came to prevent chaos. The government never gives our community money unless they have a particular interest in making sure that like chaos doesn't ensue. So the only reason why those monies came out for for-profit businesses during COVID was to prevent all hell from breaking loose.
Right.
Because here you had a bunch of people who were going to be suddenly out of work. People who were going to suddenly be inside. All of
church,
this like this really scary kind of like
what is a church? Is a church considered a nonprofit?
yes, it is considered a nonprofit a lot of times if they file the paperwork.
Churches have for-profits.
Yeah, a lot. Oh, here's the way that you can have a for-profit tied to like your church or to your
I should have been a
organization.
pastor. I knew it.
It's called
would've been a
earned
good
income,
pastor.
right? So earned income
Okay.
is a scenario where like there was a church somewhere, I think it was in Atlanta, that actually bought a McDonald's. But the only way that church, the only way that church could get away with buying a McDonald's and engaging in for-profit activity was to have the younger members of the church go through a entrepreneurial and business program of the church that placed them into the nonprofit, that placed them into the McDonald's and taught them leadership skills. And that was the only way that, so that's called earned income.
My
And that was
pastor
the
ain't tell me
only
this
way
when I was a
that,
kid.
that they could take a for-profit. So there's one in Philadelphia
Tell
called
me how
People
it
for
is.
People.
Okay.
People for People works with disabled people. People for People was running a bowling alley that the disabled people worked in to get job skills, and they were able to use the money that the bowling alley made to put into their programs and keep their programs alive. So yeah. So that's a way that they can. So that's called earned income, and it's one of many things outside of grants that you can use to fund your organization. So if you're smart, but just be careful with that one because it could be perceived as you engaging in for-profit behavior. So you gotta make sure
Tax lawyers on that.
you gotta have your accountants. You know,
Yeah,
these are
accountants
these are other examples
So-
of why accountants are needed.
Yes.
So
Gotcha.
somebody, so I mean, we gave a lot of information. You know what I'm
lot.
saying? We had a great dialogue today. Shout out EA as well for popping
Shout out
in.
EA. Needed that.
Facts. Where could somebody, how could somebody contact you? How could somebody get in contact with Real Mission Inc. in order to, get more knowledge or even to, get the process going?
Yeah, so obviously we love Instagram. It's like Instagram is so supportive, so you could just follow at Real Mission Inc. On Instagram. We have a website, www.missionincdevelopment.com. A lot of our achievements are on there. A lot of our clients who we actually have gotten grants for are on there talking about their experience working with us. And so yeah, and then we just be out in these streets. Like I'm down at Glockower like at least once a week. Like yeah, we do the work. And in addition to like all of this paperwork and stuff that we're doing, we do actual community projects as a business. We come out here and we show the community love and appreciation for how much money they've spent with us over the years by putting a little bit of our own money and our own effort into doing rap contests and all kind of stuff that we do.
Right.
So yeah, and of course, like our partnership with Spill and helping to get access to like really the street level, like groundwork, right?
Yeah,
like,
we outside.
We're out here. We're outside. We're trying to be face to face with people and and not give fake resources, but like real resources.
Yeah, be out here tangible, because
So-
that's one of the only ways you can do it.
So you said you're giving away some things.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So let the people know what you're gonna give away so we can get those things away.
All
You know what
right,
I'm saying,
so
before we get out
hold
of
on,
here.
hold on. I gotta like
Well, while you handling all of that,
cut up my little.
Farmer John, tell the people where they can find you at.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? How they can tap in with y'all, get a part of the nonprofit movement, and also spend some dollars. You know what I'm saying? With the for-profit. You know what I'm saying? Inside of
we
y'all
need to- we
situation.
need to get some
Now that we
dollars.
know all these
Yeah.
loopholes and stuff like that, do your research. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Do
See
your
what
research.
loopholes work for you. You know what I'm saying? They're like
Facts.
rabbit
Facts.
holes. You know what I'm saying? You want to go down a loophole financially. You know what I'm saying? If you
Let's
know what I
go.
mean. You know what I'm saying? Find them loopholes. You know what I mean? Nah. What y'all tell them?
So I can tell you for profit has a couple things going. So you can find us on Germantown Avenue, retail location on the for profit side. Nursery type stuff. So like small plants, house plants, stuff like that. If that's what you're interested in. Tea, like all that little, and there's like events and stuff all the time. Nonprofit, definitely check us out as well. We have 3 different programs we do. So we're working in the school district, teaching people how to farm and grow their own food as a business so they can set up their own for-profit. So the last thing that we have is redefining the corner store. And so that's basically just introducing healthy food into the area in a traditional sense of like what you would see at a corner store. So like you might see a healthier sandwich or something like that. But all that can be found on like Farmer John _ so Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dope.
Dope.
Are you ready?
What we got?
What we
All right,
got?
give
All right,
us
so-
something out.
So what I'm gonna do
Every
is
Tuesday, give us something
I
out.
am going to be giving 2 people an hour worth of coaching with me.
That's gonna be.
Oh, you guys
Like,
weren't that excited
well,
about
no,
it.
you said hour. We gotta give him like I thought it was more.
Something else.
That was it.
Oh.
What? though? What are they
Coaching,
getting?
No, what's the
consulting
coaching and
for
consulting?
for either their nonprofit or their small business.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna give either
I need.
and
Okay.
an hour, right? And like, listen, that's very valuable.
No, that's very valuable information right there. Very valuable.
All right, so okay.
If you have for-profit
All
or
right, I'm picking 2
non-profit.
people. This
No,
person.
I'm gonna pick.
All right,
You
now
pick
you,
one.
And now you pick
Oh,
one,
alright.
yeah.
I was gonna pick that one. All right, bet. We got
all right, but
Tiffany Waters. Oh,
Tiffany
Lucci too.
Waters, Lucci,
Okay.
Lucci.
All right.
All right, so an hour.
Lucci too. Lucci
An
too.
hour, congratulations, and Black Magazine 31.
Black Magazine
The other
31.
winner.
So contact
So
World Mission Inc.
congratulations to the winners, and of course, shout out to Glockaware
Spiel.
Radio.
Let the people know where to find you
Yeah.
at Spiel.
I already know, man. Spill _ENT. Shout out my brother Razor. Shout out LaWanda, County Kravitz. Brandon with Farmer John. Shout out
John.
Glockaware. You know, really bringing the information to the people. Every Tuesday at 3 o'clock, we got Build the Block.
Tap into the next show. It's gonna be all about the music business. We're gonna have
Yeah.
guests. DJ No Frills.
Shout out
to
Frills.
Shout out Frills. Hennessy Kev.
Shout out Hennessy Kev.
Yeah, so we're
Shout
gonna
out
be
to
talking
Hennessy
about
Kev.
the music business next Tuesday, right here at 3 o'clock.
Giving
Yep.
game. Giving
And I'm
game.
their host, County Kravitz. You already know what it is, man. Build the Block every Tuesday, 3 to 4. See him on the show. Coming back real soon with some big surprises.
Let's
You already
go.
know what it is. We out here. 2K play some people.